Hello, folks. Coming up this week on LCARA HAMRadio, what are these strange little black boxes? Stay tuned to find out. Folks, I'm Chris, KY4CKP.
And I'm Brian, KY4BDP.
And today we wanted to talk about a unit that's available for the ham, and in particular the mobile ham, that some folks may not be aware of. They've really been around a long time, probably 20 years or more easy. But not everybody may be familiar with these, and they can be really, really handy. So, in fact, recently our club did a hands-on series to build one of these units.
I am like 95% there. Now I've got a working unit that AC4DM had allowed me to use before, but I'm building a new one with the new design. So the one I've got's got pigtails on it for the Anderson power poles and things. But the new ones that we're building as a part of our club project have Anderson power pole connectors built into the unit, so you can just plug them in to the unit itself, and it looks cleaner that way.
Right, and the commercial unit that I purchased, I think over 2 years ago now, it's been a good while at least, can come in one of three configurations, which you could build your unit in any of these three configurations as well, and that would be plain bare wires, Anderson connectors, or the T connectors for typical mobile radios. So when I bought mine, I went ahead and got it with the T connectors just to connect it straight to what was already on the radio. A lot of people will cut off those T connectors, put on Anderson connector, and you could certainly go that route. And with the units that our club built, I think most people were putting the Andersons as a connector for the unit.
Exactly. And I guess we want to give the audience a little bit of an understanding of where are we putting these together and how did it come about. So one of the things that our club does is we have a once a month get together called Hands On with LCARA. And we do presentations. We bring people in from outside to do presentations. With the pandemic and everything, it's been Zoom type sessions. And we also build things. And AC4DM, our club president, had been making an automotive on-off switch as a part of a design from I guess you could call it a project that was published in QST in November of 2012. So this goes back a few years. In November of 2012, a nice gentleman named Jim Cook, W8WKE, Whiskey 8 Whiskey Kilo Echo, published this project in QST as a club project. And our president picked it up and said, why not make this a club project for us? And that's how we got involved, learning how to solder, learning how to source parts, and putting this thing together. And it's taken, I think we've invested 3 of those Monday nights once a month so far. And I think it'll take a 4th one just to clean some things up and finish a couple of the units. And for anybody else that might be coming in a little bit late to finish up as well.
Let me go ahead and bring in some information on the commercial unit that I purchased a couple of years ago. And so I'm going to change our picture here a little bit. There we go. And what I've got here is the website where I purchased my unit. I think there's a couple of other options on the market, but this is aprsworld.com, aprsworld.com, and they make a number of different products. But one of the products they make is called the APO3. APO3, Automatic Power Off. Very clever name. I see what they did there. APO3, version 3. And you can see some of the specs here in the background. It can switch up to 20 amps. Let me bring our pictures back here. Give me just a second. Switch up to 20 amps, carry up to 30 amps. You can see the different voltages, and that's one of the things that is also configurable with the unit that our club president designed and that we've been building in our hands-on sessions, is being able to configure when do you want it to shut things off. What battery voltage do you want? So the commercial unit has that ability, and so does the unit that was based on the article in QRT. So you can see some of the information there on the background using dip switches, and then also how much time do you want to elapse before you shut down. It's sort of an an either or situation. Either the battery voltage has dipped to a certain level or a certain amount of time has passed. And so 10 minutes, I think, is the default. So I'll just scroll through this page a little bit here in the background. You can see most of the stats there. It's not very big. Let me hold it up. You can see the stats there on the screen. Let me see if I can hold this up and get it to show. See, and there's my hand. It's not very big. You don't have to find a real big place to put it. It's not really very thick or anything. And as you can see, I just got the regular T connectors on mine. But for this unit, you can get it in one of three configurations. And again, that is plain bare leads. You can get it with Anderson power poles, as you see on your screen now, or you can get the regular sort of mobile radio T connector style. So this is a commercial unit. If you look at the pricing down here, it's about $60. It's about $60. Now, Brian, compared to building a unit, what would we be looking at if we were going to build a unit?
Well, I think AC4DM did the best he could to try to come up with current sourcing for some of these parts. Now, I will admit, AC4DM has also gone and architected his own circuit board because the old circuit board's not available anymore. I think it was from Radio Shack back in the day. But he had to design his own circuit board and then send that out, and then they would send him several PCBs that you can cut down, and you get 6 circuit boards out of one and all this other stuff. So he's done a lot of the legwork. But I think he went and sourced the parts, the resistors, the LEDs, the relays, and some of the project boxes and so forth that you're going to put it in. And to look like this, let me see if I can get this where you guys can see it. And it has a pigtail. This version has a pigtail, similar to what Chris was saying, where you can get different ends and so forth. We primarily just use Anderson's, but you can see this has a T connector on it. The new ones that we're building are not going to have these pigtails. They actually have the Anderson connectors built into the box, so there's nothing hanging off of this. You literally just have a black box to look at, which is really cool. And when he sourced the parts, I think he was coming up with about $25, maybe $30. And with the shortages that we have right now, and maybe you can't find the exact parts in stock, it might be a little bit more expensive. But let's just say, for the sake of our discussion tonight, it was $30, $35. You would still spend less building it yourself than if you were to buy one. And the really cool part about building one of these is you're learning skills. If you're new to the hobby, even if you're not so new to the hobby, but you currently don't have something to turn your radio off automatically when you switch off the key, the skills that you learn and the fun of putting it together, just like building antennas for a lot of people, putting this together is a big part of why you do it. Not that you can't find it on the shelf somewhere, but to learn the electronic side of it.
Right. It's about half the cost. And we've talked about this for a couple of years. We should do a video on this. It's a simple unit. The concept is relatively simple. It automatically supplies power to your radio when you turn on your vehicle, and it'll automatically turn it off after X amount of time, or if your battery does manage to dip low enough. And it's just handy. It's just handy to have if you do like to run a mobile radio, which of course some hams like to do. I've really enjoyed having mine with my mobile setup. I know most of our club members, several of our club members already had these, including the president, and Brian's had one and so forth. So that's why we wanted to do the hands-on session. That's why we wanted to finally do a video on this. Again, we've talked about it for at least 2 years. But one of the things we want to do with this is have a follow-up video. We want to introduce these to folks, make sure they know they're out there, the concept is out there. But then we also want to have a follow-up video. So why don't you just talk about that for a moment?
No worries. So when we go to put these together, Don, AC4DM, brings 2 boxes worth of parts, soldering irons, solder, and all the stuff to help put these together. And the thing that we want to show in part 2 are some of the skills you're going to need, which are not difficult. It's just doing them, right? And soldering is probably the hardest part, although there's a little bit of fitment work that you've got to use to make sure that the Anderson power poles stick through in the right place on the box and some other things. And it's just a matter of having a logical process when you're putting things together, and then taking your time. And if you screw up, you just take that part out and pull in another one if you happen to damage a part. We smoked an LED yesterday or Monday So that happens. So we had extras on hand. And in the part number 2, we're actually going to show you some of the build process. We're not going to go through the whole build because it can be a little more tedious for a video to have. But we want to show you the end result and what it would look like. And if anybody's interested in the QST article, we can make that available to them.
Right. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to bring these up because, again, if you're a hand that likes to work mobile and you don't have something like this, which a lot of people probably don't, you know, it's worth knowing about whether you spend $60 for an off-the-shelf one or you can put together a kit for 30, maybe even $40, save a little bit of money, but gain that hands-on experience. And for a lot of us, you know, we want the hands-on experience to build something like this. You know, even if it was more expensive to build one, people would probably still choose that route for some folks. So that's what we wanted to do. And then we're going to show a build on the unit that our club president designed. And again, the utilization is pretty simple. You just turn on your car, the radio comes on, you shut off your car, within 10 minutes, it's going to shut off on its own. And you don't have to really worry about it. You don't have to worry about coming back to a dead battery or anything like that. So that was pretty much the main gist of this this video, is to show these off and then follow up with that build process. Absolutely. And like Chris said, I've actually, when I didn't have this unit in my truck, I came back to a dead battery. It just, you just feel so frustrated that you weren't thinking about turning off your radio. There are radios, many of them, that have automatic power off options, but they are not paying attention to what you're doing with the radio. If they don't have power, they're going to shut off in 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And if you need more time to finish a QSO or you're talking with somebody on the repeater, what's nice about this box, and I believe yours does it as well, is there's a bypass switch. You can actually bypass it, just goes straight to the battery, and it's not going to shut it off. It's going to give you as much time as possible to finish your conversation, and then you can switch it back to the normal setting, and again, it'll shut it off automatically. So, yep, that's what this video is about, folks. We wanted to let you know these automotive on-off boxes are available commercially, but why not? If you're a member of a club or you've got some guys that you get together and it's kind of informal, why not build one of these yourselves? Right. So that's pretty much it. We can wrap this one up for now. I'm Chris, KY4CKP. And I'm KY4BDP Brian for the Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. We want to encourage you to come back for part 2 as we show you the build process and how it actually works. Both of these units will show you both how they work, and we hope to see you in part number 2. 73.